Okay, so what did you see in the video and how does it make you feel?
I think what I saw in the video is probably the true version or what African Americans experience on a daily basis. And I think that it's very striking and it's very worrisome for the people living in America and for the general public because the police are given such, as Philip was mentioning in the video, that police are given such a not a huge, they're given a huge responsibility, but the evaluations that they have to go through aren't that harsh as a person or as a citizen. They don't have to go through a psychological understanding of the situation. They're basically given a license to kill a person. And I think that the racial tensions in America are maybe worse than they probably have been in the recent memory. And I think it probably undermines President Barack Obama's administration itself. Although he's the first African American president. There seems to be this perception among the whole public and the candidate Donald Trump himself that Obama hasn't done much to improve the racial tensions. When it's the opposite, I think he's done a lot. However, the perception and not these responsibility, but the prehistoric perception or the notions by the typical white people of the South still persist in many areas.
Okay, what do you think that you can do to make the world a better and more open-minded place for everyone?
I think one thing that I think any citizen or a person can do to make a world a better place is to understand the difficulties of other people. I understand that there's this all lives matter movement, and I understand that, but you got to realize the importance of some things other than the others. I think that all lives matter, although it should be taken into consideration. I don't think it's as significant as the Black Lives Matter because there's so many unarmed teenage black teenagers that are shot every day, and I think we had two this past week, and I think that's crazy. And I think that it really needs to be dealt with. And I think that it's not even though the Trayvon Martin and all those things that have occurred, they just keep going on. It's not bettering. And I think the one way to improve that situation is to be open-minded and is to open the communities and break down the barriers that exist between these different racial and ethnic groups. That sounds good.
My name is Manha. I'm in 12th grade.
Okay, so what did you see in the video and how does it make you feel?
Okay, so it makes me feel kind of angry a little bit because I am totally for the Black Lives Matter movement, and I understand that there are some people that like to say that all lives matter, and I feel like the white man who was talking in the video seems to be going along with that idea, and I have a lot of things to say to him. So should I don't know how many questions you guys have, or I should just elaborate?
You can go ahead.
Okay, so see, I saw somewhere once, the reason why people say Black Lives Matter is like they give an analogy, okay? If there's a row of houses and there's a fire in one of the houses and there's a firefighter, he's not gonna like spray water on all of the houses, he's gonna spray water on the one that's burning. I think that kind of goes along with the Black Lives Matter movement. Yes, all lives matter, but this one is the one that's been burning. Like there's been a problem here for so long, and systematic oppression is obviously, and it's definitely a problem. And I think, and I do disagree a little bit with the black man who was speaking because they created a force from the outside to go against the police force in their area, right? That's what he said. They created the dream force or something like that. But I think it'd be more effective to fight the problem internally and create change within the police department rather than from the outside.
Okay, what do you think you can do to make the world a better and more open-minded place?
To create, I think there's no way to get rid of people's belief. There's no easy way to do that. I think just bringing attention to the problem and creating a bigger and bigger, like not fan base, but like
Yeah.
a bigger group of people, so that more people are alert. Like so, more people know what's going on. like to like raise awareness. And I think the best way to do that is through the generation or through the people it's affecting.
How can you as a Y High student accept our differences and come together as a whole without racial profiling?
I think it's best to forget, not forget, but put aside the race factor in terms of sharing knowledge and stuff. I think it's important to have diversity because each race brings its own experiences or knowledge. But in terms of sharing knowledge and talking to each other, and that race shouldn't be a determining factor at all. It should just be the sharing of knowledge.
Thank
My name's Alexis Young's 10th grade.
Chase Wilder, 10th grade.
Asia Turner, 10th grade.
What did you see in the video and how does it make you feel?
Oh, so I saw that this black guy was talking about how their community, how like they need to do things to make it better for race and other people who are minority or people of color. And then I saw another guy, the white guy, who's talking about how he shouldn't be blamed for it, basically, because he's white and his family didn't come here.
Yeah, that is what we saw. The brother was trying to prove the point about the system of racial oppression, not specifically individual racial oppression, but the system. And then, of course, the Caucasian brother tried to deflect that and prove the point that he was not part of the system or whatever. But I do have a few things to say about that, but I'll wait.
I agree. We saw like a black man talking about systematic oppression and how that has affected his life and how it affects people of color in general. And then a white man talking about, oh, I understand because he's been through our struggle basically, but he wasn't there when it happened, so it's not his fault.
Okay, how does it make you feel?
Well, it makes me feel mad because you don't know how we feel because obviously you're not the same color as me, and it doesn't even have to be just you in general. We're not talking about individualism. We're talking about like people in general. So like all people, and it's systematic. It's like the government, everything is put into power and that. So it just makes me feel mad because he still doesn't understand the whole meaning behind it.
It is the systematic oppression. It's not the individual oppression. But I noticed how he said he tried to make the point that his family came after the Civil War or whatnot. Regardless of when his family came, he is still benefiting from this systematic oppression, and we are still on the other end of the spectrum, not benefiting from it, but receiving harsh treatment, negative treatment because of these things. And he also tried to make it seem like it was he also knows how we feel, even though he doesn't know how we feel because there is of course a barrier between race. He's white, we're black, so he doesn't know like you said, the struggle that we have been through. All he knows is what he hears about and what he sees on television, so he can't really comment on these types of things.
I agree with what they said, and he was basically, so the black guy was talking about systematic oppression and how it's still here, and the white guy was like, oh, I struggle too, but how I feel is that you've never struggled because you're white. You may have struggled maybe because your family was poor or whatever, but you never struggled because you're white. And also, he was talking about how his family came after, but, okay, so, and then he's like, well, I shouldn't be blamed for it. Nobody's blaming white people for what happened years ago, but their families did build this system and they are benefiting from it and they have the power to destruct the system while we are on the other end, and that's all we're asking them to do is to help us destruct the system because they have the power.
I believe, I'm going to say this is going to be very profound, but I believe that him being attacked means that he has done something in his life to a black person, and so he feels guilty about it. I think that's why he feels attacked, not because of the systematic oppression. I think he feels wrong himself for something he has done.
Okay. How can us as Y High students accept our differences and come together as a whole without racial profiling?
Well, I guess we're already so blended well into each other because the school is so small, and its majority there are more people of different like ethnicities, but like we are still so small and everybody knows everybody and we all accept everything. So I don't think we have that big of a deal and problem with it. Like, I mean, there's problems here and there, but like the school's so small and there's so many different things, and your best friend could be something different. So like it's not really that big of a prominent problem right now in Y High.
But I'm not going to tell you why.
I think it's necessary that people at Y High of Caucasian descent or whatnot should recognize the privilege that they have. I think, yeah, we are close, and it's good that we have these discussions or whatnot, but they need to understand that they have not dealt with what we have dealt with. They have not been through what we've been through, but it would be nice for them to understand the privilege that they have and be mindful and conscious of that, especially when dealing or interacting with people different from their race.
I agree. They should acknowledge your privilege and understand that having privilege doesn't make you a bad person necessarily, and you can fight to make sure everybody's on the same spectrum. And so at Y High, we're pretty blended, but we still do have a racial divide here, but it's prominent in all of our lives. You can see that. And so I think we should all acknowledge the fact that we are different and are different. The fact that we're all different makes us the same in a way. We should see color and we should acknowledge other people's cultures, because not seeing color means that that's a bad thing. You want to see the differences in us so that we can acknowledge that we come from different places, but we're all here in the same place for the same reason.
Thank you.